A mistletoe wreath. Are you taking a video?
I just started taking one.
Okay. And they're hanging their stockings. He snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew. All the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise. It's hard to kind of flip the pages.
It's a new book.
Yeah, I know. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast. I don't know what's bad about that. I mean, like, food's probably good. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. I actually heard a book read aloud on this. Like, it was something for school. Yeah. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. And they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed.
He laughed?
The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and chuckled. What a great Grinchy trick. With his coat and his hat, he looked just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer is scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, and he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Yep," and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay snooze in their town. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care. Then he came to the first little house on the square. To stop number one, the old Grinchy Claus hissed and climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so the Grinch, he got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present, pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them into bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why that Grinch even took their last coon of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. What is that? Anyway, and the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why are you taking a Christmas tree? Why? I did it in a cute voice because, she's really small. But that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. He's mean.
He's mean.
Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire, and one speck of food that he had left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Just the last page. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. "3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh, pooh. Wait, what? Pooh, pooh? What?
If that's what he says, that's what
Pooh,
he says.
pooh.
Yep.
Pooh, pooh. To the Who's, he was grinchiously humming. They were finding out that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. He's about to realize that Christmas is more important than he thinks it is. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow.
Careful with your new book.
But the sound wasn't sad. It just sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Very. What's that? He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes, then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. See, this book takes place in this day. But not right now. It's tomorrow. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from the store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for their feast, and he ... Could just put the other words there. But then there wouldn't be in this page. He himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Why did I think there was another page?
Was that the end?
Yeah, that was the end.
Awesome. You did a great job.
I didn't miss any words.